Now, I know why you're here. You're looking at the world changing and you're seeing AI take over and you're wondering, is this still a place for me? And you're putting your trust in me to give you the straight answer. So here it is. The cloud engineer role isn't dead, but the way people used to get in, that path is closed. If you just go out and buy a generic AWS course today, then you're training for a role that won't exist by December. And in 2026, companies don't need people to click buttons. They need people to protect the bottom line. I've analyzed over 100 job descriptions for this year, and I've seen what actually is getting people hired. So if you give me 10 minutes, I will give you the only roadmap that respects your time and your future, and this will take you from zero to higher in 2026. We start with the old school stuff. Yeah, I know it's not sexy, but you cannot build a skyscraper on sand. First, Linux. You have to stop being afraid of that black screen with the blinking cursor. In the professional world, Linux runs the internet. So, I need you to learn how to move files, manage permissions, and read logs. Because if a system breaks at 2 a.m., the log is the only thing that will tell you why. Second is Python. Don't try to learn every language. Python is the language of AI. But don't just code. I want you to learn how to automate. So if you have to do a task twice, then write a script to do it for you. Third is networking. You need to know how data moves from point A to point B. And if you don't understand IP addresses or DNS, you're just guessing. And in 2026, we use zero trust. It's a simple concept. Trust no one, verify everyone, and it's the only way to stay safe today. Now, phase 3 is where you pick your kingdom, your castle. You'll hear people argue about AWS versus Azure, and I'm gonna keep it real. It doesn't matter which one you pick as much as it matters that you just learn one. I personally recommend AWS for most beginners because it's the most simplified for beginners. But if you're coming from a Microsoft background, Azure is great, and especially if you want to work for big established banks or like healthcare companies. But here is my advice. Do not chase the certifications. A piece of paper tells me you can pass the test. A GitHub profile and a write-up in the documentation tells me you can solve a problem. And in 2026, I'm hiring the problem solver every single time. Now, this is where you separate yourself from the crowd. In the old days, engineers built servers manually, which is still a good skill to learn. In 2026, though, we're using Terraform. We're writing code, we hit enter, and an entire data center is built automatically. Now, listen up. This is where you can earn a huge paycheck. First, Kubernetes. This is no longer optional. It is the operating system of modern cloud. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a complex Kubernetes expert, but if you want to run AI at scale, companies are doing it on Kubernetes. And think of it as a conductor leading a massive orchestra of servers, and it makes sure every part is playing its role perfectly. Second, observability. In 2026, we don't want to just know if something is broken, we need you to know why. We need you to learn services like Grafana. You're going to be the engineer that finds the needle in the haystack of 1,000 microservices. And that skill alone makes you unfireable. And you also need to learn Docker if we're talking about orchestration and observability. Think of Docker like a shipping container. It doesn't matter if the ship is on AWS or a server in your basement, the app inside the container always works the same way. And finally, the big one, FinOps. This is where the value is. Companies are terrified of their cloud bills. So if you can walk into an interview and say, I know how to use spot instances to save you 70% on your AI costs, then the salary negotiation is over. You win. Now, I know there are a ton of other services to learn, but these are the foundations. And no matter what you learn, this should be your go-to to continue to learn over and over and over and over again. Because as you learn, we build proof. Now, I don't want to see a resume that says, I know cloud. I want to see a project that lives and breathes. I want you to build an AI-powered API. I want you to use Python to call a model like Llama. I want you to put it into a Docker container. I want you to use Terraform to deploy it and use GitHub Actions so it updates itself. This shows me you understand code, containers, automation, AI. That's the full house stack of skills that you need for 2026. I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be hard. There will be days, even in week 1 or month 1, where you want to quit because Linux feels like a foreign language. But remember these things I'm about to tell you. The upside is in the uncertainty. Most people will see this roadmap and say, that's too much work. Most people will see this roadmap and say, I feel like this won't even land me a job. Most people will see this roadmap and say, I don't have the time. I'm gonna keep it real with you. This is the truth. If you stay consistent, you will already beat 90% of those who watch this video. And number 2, success doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. It cares about what you do. And number 3, in order to have things in your life change, You have to be willing to change things in your life. And if others don't change and they don't want to change, good. Let them stay on the sidelines. If you're willing to put in the work, I'm willing to show you the way. And that's how you're going to level up in 2026.